mama's in the mirror watching Judge Judy. I'm in the kitchen eating leftover sushi, and she yells, "Oh, girl, you gotta hear this one." A man was arrested for running a theme park, and when they said, "Where's your license?" he said, "My dog ate it." Oh, you can't make this shit up. Sometimes I wonder if life's just one big cosmic joke. It's like she's on a Reddit, reading r/funny lawsuits, yelling from the couch. As she sips on a Prosecco, makes fun of all the weirdos, and then I hear her shout. It's like she's on a Reddit, reading r/funny lawsuits, yelling from the couch. As she sips on a Prosecco, makes fun of all the weirdos, and then I hear her shout, "Girl, you gotta hear this one." Mama loves to laugh at how absurd life is, says it's all a comedy and I'm her audience. And I love the way she makes fun of the world. She said, "You'll never guess what's with their girlfriend. It was a man who didn't get us out of the bed. He said, I've been through hell and now I need some help. You just can't make this shit up. You just can't make this shit up." Sometimes I wonder if life's just one big cosmic joke. It's like she's on a Reddit, reading r/funny lawsuits, yelling from the couch. As she sips on a Prosecco, makes fun of all the weirdos, and then I hear her shout. It's like she's on a Reddit, reading r/funny lawsuits, yelling from the couch. As she sips on a Prosecco, makes fun of all the weirdos, and then I hear her shout, "Girl, you gotta hear this one."
Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Holy crap, I don't know what today is. I don't know where I am. I don't know who I am. I just got out of the shower less than 5 minutes ago. My hair is wet. I have no makeup on. The little is here next to me. At 3:01, she wanted toast with Nutella, so here we are. I have 3 loads of laundry that need to be folded that are right next to me. And we have Sherrone Moore's sentencing hearing today. It did start at 2 o'clock. I honestly don't know if it's done yet. We're going to find out together on this little freaking adventure because your girl didn't get home until 2:45. So schedule update for the week. Instead of streaming on Thursday, I am going to stream tomorrow, and we are going to start covering the Anna Kepner unaliving case. That is the girl who was tragically unalived on a cruise last November with her family. Her stepbrother, who is 16, has been charged as an adult, and because it did happen in international waters, it is a federal case. Enter Pacer. So we will be reading the documents together. I have to quiet the little pad down because it's driving me up a wall, and I'm pretty sure y'all could hear it. Give me 1 second. All right, so once I stop sweating, you will actually see me both do my makeup on camera and fold my laundry. Welcome to the life or day in the life of Squid when she is not streaming. It is a hot mess express. It is currently live, so we are going to go back to the very beginning and watch at 1.25 speed because, you know, and if you don't know who Sherrone Moore is, he is the former head coach of Michigan football. And he is in Judge Simpson's courtroom. Sports, my favorite sport, and my favorite judge coming together as one. So here we are. And before we get it started, Hung Hero, thanks for the 20 Squid Pro memberships. You are amazing. And the $5 super chat, get green chat. And if you are the praying type, it is a big week for Hung Hero and his wife. More importantly than him, his wife, Mrs. Hung Hero. Please pray for them. They need all the prayers and positive thoughts that they can get. On that note, let's share this because, I'm so prepared. I was going to talk about Anna Kepner today, and then I found out this hearing was today. Then I was going to talk about it Thursday, and then find out that I have to work at 2:00 on Thursday. So this is the craziness that is my life. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And Andrea Myers, thank you for the $25 Ko-fi. I appreciate you so very, very much. You have no idea how much that means to me. Y'all are amazing. Thanks for being an awesome community and dealing with my craziness. Oh, yeah. All right, so this is currently live, so we are going to start it where he comes in.
All right, thanks. Bye-bye.
It is his sentencing hearing. He was charged with a bunch of stuff and decided that coming to a plea deal and getting rid of the felony charges would probably be a good idea. And this is why I always don't like to cover it live, too, because this started at 2:00. It is currently 3:10, and they did not get started until recently. This is in Michigan. To be honest, I don't remember what county. So just say hi to the chat while I'm waiting. Malin, I'm glad you're here. Thanks for making it back. Yep. Ooh, Judge Simpson. Yes, Judge Simpson. My favorite sport and my favorite judge colliding. Holy. And the QR code that is on the screen above me is the QR code for the Tallow Truth. That is the skincare I've been using. That is the beef tallow skincare because I am watching the amount of chemicals that I put on my skin, although I still put makeup on. However, it is helping getting rid of that WTF line in the middle of my forehead, surprisingly enough. Tammy, good to see you. Andrea, once again, thank you so very much. Gail, good to see you. Yeah, the Pacer bill is going to need some help. It is. The Pacer bill for this last quarter was $113.90, I think, so it's not awful, but yeah. Roy, good to see you. And if I sound rushed, I am so sorry. Welcome to my day. I feel like I've been rushed since I woke up at 3:00 this morning. Heidel, good to see you. Lori, always good to see you. Snipe, good afternoon. See if there's anybody I'm missing. my Sherrone Moore. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Kelly, good to see you. Jen Thunder, how are you? Chris Patton. Yes, I love this judge. Judge Simpson has to be one of the best judges in the country. He goes on the positive, the good judge. Silver Fox, you're late. You didn't miss anything. This is the Sherrone Moore hearing. It started at 2:00, but literally for the first 40 minutes of the stream, there is nothing. So I was just saying hi to chat as we rushed into this because I still have wet hair. I got out of the shower 5 minutes before the stream started. I got home 15 minutes before that. I've been on the phone, running errands, doing things, working. It's just been a day. So you will see me have to fold my laundry. And that is Sherrone Moore. I really wish he wouldn't have gone off the deep end. Well, I wish he wouldn't have screwed up and had a relationship with a staff member inappropriate in the first place, which is one of the reasons he got fired. And then when that happened, he had what, in my view, in my opinion, was a mental breakdown that led to all of this. And we have covered it from the very beginning because if you all know me, one thing I love is where sports and the law meet. And this would be one of those cases. He did take a plea deal, which will get rid of the felonies, which is always nice to not have a felony on your record. But I really wish he just wouldn't have done this to begin with because he's a good coach. And to be fair, I think he will coach again. I think he will have a Division II or Division III college call him up because he is a very skilled coach. He just proved himself to be a very shitty human being. Man. Which seems to happen a lot to people. They're good at their job, but they suck at life.
You may be seated. Court does call the case of the people of the state of Michigan versus Sherrone Moore. Sherrone Moore. Thank you. All right. State time set for sentencing. And parties, are they ready to proceed?
We are. Yes, Your Honor, we're ready to proceed.
Great. Whoever would like to go first? Do the people have anything that they would like to say before I do impose sentence? Not that you have to, but
I appreciate that, Your Honor. I don't have much to say, except to underscore that we arrived here because these charges are ultimately what was supported by both the facts and the law. We appreciate the court's efforts in communicating with both sides. Your Honor, we trust this court's decision-making as it comes to imposing the sentence. And so I don't have anything to say in terms of what we want you to impose or what we expect for you to impose. I trust that. I do, however, feel that I would be remiss in my duty if I did not underscore for the court and for the record that there was a young woman that was deeply impacted by the defendant's choices on December 10th of last year. I just want to make sure that we state that for the record, and I am confident that Your Honor will take that into consideration to the extent that it is important.
And I do apologize for court audio. Court audio sucks. So I do apologize. She's throwing a temper tantrum because I refuse to put her in my lap. So she is fine. But I apologize for court audio. Court audio is notoriously terrible. Unfortunately, like, I can't control the volume of, I can only control what I can control, and the screen audio is all the way up. The audio on YouTube is all the way up. The reason that the volume sucks is because the court audio sucks. There's not much else I can do besides adjust the audio in StreamYard and the audio in my YouTube, and both are at the max level. There's not a whole much else I can do. Sorry. Like, I will turn on closed captioning, but those of you who, closed captioning unavailable, probably because it's live. However, I apologize. It is what it is. There's not much I can do. So please, please, please spare me the complaining about it, because I've done all that I can do. And if it sucks for you, it sucks for me too.
And appropriate and necessary in imposing your sentence. And I appreciate that opportunity.
counsel?
Thank you very much.
Just so that we're clear on the record, you received a copy of the pre-sentence investigation report.
I have. I will address that when I get to the podium.
All right, very good.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. First and foremost, with regards to the pre-sentence investigation report.
It also helps when an attorney is using a microphone, like the defense attorney, where the prosecutor was not. So that fucking helps too. Excuse my attitude, but like, I am busy and stressed. So, and y'all know that you've watched court. None of you are new to court watching. Y'all know court audio sucks, and attorneys do not like to project their voices because they don't like to be heard on the microphone for the world to see because they suck at their job. And if they suck at their job, they really don't like to listen or be heard, because then if you can hear them clearly, you can critique what they say. If they are muffled and only the court can hear them, the general population cannot critique how shitty or good of a lawyer they are. And to those in the comments who want to hate me, you don't have to be a fucking lawyer to know what a good lawyer looks like. That has been a comment that has come up more than once. You are not a lawyer, so you cannot tell what a good lawyer looks like. Are you fucking stupid? You don't have to be a lawyer to tell what a good human being looks like. And if someone is good at their job. I don't have to play football to tell what a good football coach looks like. I don't have to be a fucking lawyer to know what a fucking good lawyer looks like. The defense attorney, I believe, is a good lawyer. The prosecutor, I'm not really fucking sure.
That was submitted to me by your probation department. There are no additions, corrections, or deletions. There are a few things that I would like this court to know about Sherrone Moore. Sherrone Moore is the only child of immigrant parents who came to this country for a better life. He grew up in a home marked by uncertainty. His father, an Air Force serviceman, was deployed overseas for long stretches, leaving his mother to carry all the responsibilities at home. That shaped it. It taught him resilience, responsibility, and the importance of family. Sherrone didn't always fit in.
And that's the court. That's once again not
confidence, direction, and ultimately a purpose. That purpose became coaching, not for attention or status, but to help young men grow on the field and off. He teaches that success comes from facing challenges head on and handling adversity the right way. I have come to know Sherrone over the last few months. I have seen how he responds when things are at their hardest. He has handled adversity with grace and with dignity. Since this incident, Sherrone is engaged in counseling, gained insight into his life, and developed tools to guide him forward. He has recentered himself around his family, and he has taken responsibility, expressing genuine remorse to those closest to him, the people most affected by his actions. Your Honor, this is a man who is not defined by this moment, but by how he has responded to it. For these reasons, I ask this court to grant a deferral and place Sherrone Moore on probation. It is an appropriate sentence given the nature of the offense and Sherrone Moore's lack of any prior criminal history. Thank you very much. Thank you.
And because there was no contest plea, I just want to make sure for purposes of the record, Mr. Moore does not wish to address the court. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Oh yeah, he did plead no contest,
I apologize.
which took away the.
To the court, which you do not.
I can appreciate that though. She highlighted the good and left out the bad, but she didn't paint him as a victim.
Your Honor, first of all, I want to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for his grace and guidance during this difficult time. I want to thank my beautiful wife Kelly for her support, her strength, and standing by me. I want to thank this court and its staff for their time and consideration. I'm grateful to my attorney Ellen Michaels for her guidance. I've taken this process very seriously and work closely with the probation department to prepare for today's sentencing. I'm ready to proceed. Thank you.
Thank you. There was nothing additional from probation, is there?
Once again, straight to the point, which I can appreciate. Straight to the point. He didn't try to paint himself as a victim, unlike what Tyler, what's his fucking nuts in Texas, is trying to do. And excuse my language today, y'all. It's just, I love you guys, but like telling me that the audio is low when y'all have watched court hearings, this is not your first time. This is nobody's first time. I met most of you in other chats watching court and watching trials. We know that court audio is notoriously awful, and I go into every stream making sure that all of my audio levels are as maxed as they can be, because I know that court audio sucks. So I just kind of get annoyed with the constant, well, the audio is low. No shit. Thank you, Captain Obvious. Appreciate you. And it is just a busy, busy day. So, you know, like, yeah, I love you guys, but sometimes y'all know how to get under my skin, and that is a way when not one of you is new to court watching. And if you are, Courts do not like to have the best audio. Lawyers are not good with tech. That includes judges. Judges have to constantly remind lawyers to talk into microphones. It is just a thing. And you're fine, Gail. I forgive you. It's just like, it's not, I'm not like mad at anybody in particular. It's just, I literally got home 15 minutes before this stream and I have not sat down. I have not eaten lunch. I have not even gotten water. Don't have water by my desk because I did not have time to stop at the fridge and getting it while I'm on the phone saying I have a stream in 3 minutes. I gotta go. Trying to take care of some stuff. So, you live like a subcutaneous injection. And I also have an entire laundry basket that needs to be clean or folded and put away before I go to work. So there's that.
Before I impose the sentence in this case, I think that there are a few things from this court's perspective that I think need to be pointed out of the purpose here of what the court's going to do and what the court's not going to do. I want to make it very clear that the morality of what transpired, that's not something for the court to decide. I am not passing judgment on that course of conduct. I may have my own views on that, but I'm not here to pass judgment on that. That's way above, frankly, my pay grade. At some point regarding the conduct that is not before this court, the morality of it and the like, is going to ultimately be left to this defendant and his God to make that determination, as well as the grace and forgiveness that might be bestowed upon him if deserving by his life. What the court is also not doing, and what is not my role here, and not part of my bailiwick, and seems to have been so pervasive in this case, is to put a thumb on the scale of what might be, maybe, future litigation involving the University of Michigan. That is not the world or realm I'm operating in at this particular point in time, and not part of this judgment and what I end up with. I think it's also important to point out, because I don't look at the news very much, but in looking at how people may misinterpret what has occurred here, and I want and feel it necessary to make that clear. There are certainly those that believe that as the charges were initially filed, the 3 charges of home invasion, third, the stalking charge, and the entry without permission charge, that there's a view that they shouldn't have been filed. And then there's a view that, well, should have stuck with it. I will commend counsel on this case because I think they have both shown courage, but particularly I want to address the Washtenaw County Prosecutor's Office and their courage in doing what is right. The reality of this case is the people, if they had wanted to, I would imagine, could have just...
Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt, but literally, would anybody like to see what the rest of that shirt looks like without the robe? This is one of the reasons I love Judge Simpson. His sense of style. Chef's kiss. Chef's kiss. Oh my goodness.
decided to proceed with this case and just let the chips fall where they may. I think, as Mr. Smirski stated before, that is not their obligation. Their obligation is to do justice and to do what is right. The very beginning of this case, so that people can understand it, the facts as they knew them supported the filing of the charges.
No snacks.
I've been fortunate or unfortunate in this case to be able to see a lot more than I would in a normal case this having been a no contest plea, and a lot of information being provided to this court to determine whether or not there was a factual basis. But I want to make it clear that when the charges were filed, they were appropriate. But as with any case, as more facts become known and as more things happen, the facts and the analysis change. Now, I don't say any of what I'm about to say to try to bash anybody or to do anything, but I say it for the purposes of so that people can understand what the prosecutor's office was looking at. They had filed these three charges. The first two, the first being the home invasion third, and then the stalking charge, with the belief that on the 8th of December, 2025, that Ms. Shiver had informed Mr. Moore that some way that she no longer wanted contact. Now, with that, certainly they may be able to proceed with if there's attempted contact or other things that can occur by Mr. Moore's conduct. The people may have been able to proceed with a stalking charge. Stop for a moment and just tell you that what is called a predicate offense, or the underlying offense for the home invasion third, the misdemeanor, along with a home invasion or entering a home, that the stalking charge had to be maintained. But here's what the people found out. And they will say that when the police, Pittsfield Township, are interviewing and they're going through, they are, I watched, I don't know how many hours of video in this case. And I will tell you that they were not only professional, they attempted to try to get to the bottom of it. At some points, their efforts seemed thwarted. That's my view. And that they were trying to get answers to a lot of different things. But as it was presented to them, and they ultimately presented to the prosecutor, on the 8th of December, Shiver had indicated in her own words to them that at, I believe she said 6 a.m., or I think she specified that at 6:10 a.m., had told him that there wasn't going to be any more contact. And then any contact or attempted contact or anything along those lines.
Sometimes some streams have audio boost. This one does not.
Would then potentially constitute a stalking charge. When the police department asked for Ms. Shriver's phone, and I'm not saying that this is Ms. Shriver because she didn't have possession of her phone, they wanted the call logs, they never got it. And there may have been a reason for that, I don't know, but they never got the call logs for the phone. But maybe there were those that thought if they didn't have the call logs, maybe they wouldn't be able to see certain things. Well, maybe to many chagrin, there's such things as search warrants and other things where one can get these logs. And I go back to the 8th, because again, I want to explain why the people did what they did. The 8th at 6:10, 6 a.m., there is supposedly this communication to Mr. Moore that he should no longer have any contact. The problem was that could not have been true. And the reason it couldn't have been true, and what the people saw, is that after a call on the 7th, approximately 2:15, for over an hour, well, for 83 minutes, between Ms. Shiver and Mr. Moore. After that call, when it gets to the 8th, and remember, it's 6 a.m. is what the people are told. There was a call at 2:49 p.m. connected for 7 minutes between Mr. Moore and Ms. Shiver. There was then an additional call at 3:29 p.m. that connected for 4 minutes between Mr. Moore and Ms. Shiver. Those are outgoing calls from Mr. Moore to her. At 3:41 p.m. on that day, there is an incoming call from her to him for 11 minutes. There is then at 7:41 p.m. an outgoing call for 27 minutes from Mr. Moore to Ms. Shriver. Here's what the people realize. The very foundation of the stalking charge, which would have been the telling not to contact me on the 8th, there is no call on the 8th. But the very foundation, it couldn't have happened. The people realize that
Woo!
when they got that information. Bottom line, by necessity then, the stalking charge would fail. If the stalking charge fails,
Y'all caught that, right? Where the stalking charge was supposed to happen and what would have happened doesn't make any sense according to the phone records, which means somebody lied. I mean, that's the only logical thing, right? You press charges based on information, and when you got the phone records, something about that didn't fucking add up. Now I understand the plea deal. Plead no contest. We'll get rid of the felonies because the felony stalking charge would have failed. Where do you go with that? What if you're like, obviously you're Sherrone Moore, you know that there was no contact on the day in question. Wouldn't you want to fight it, or would you want to risk it? Because the judge literally just said that the stalking charge would not hold water. That is, yeah. Judge Simpson is a national treasure. National treasure. Go back, please. Yeah, hold on. I'm gonna go back to where he's talking about the phone records.
would then potentially constitute a stalking charge.
Right.
Is either the misdemeanor along with a home invasion or entering a home. That the stalking charge had to be maintained. But here's what the people found out. And they will say that when the police, Pittsfield Township, are interviewing and they're going through, they are, I watched, I don't know how many hours of video in this case. And I will tell you that they were not only professional, they attempted to try to get to the bottom of it. At some points, their efforts seemed thwarted. That's my view. And that they were trying to get answers to a lot of different things. But as it was presented to them and they ultimately presented to the prosecutor, on the 8th of December, Shriver had indicated in her own words to them that at, I believe she said 6 a.m., or I think she specified that at 6:10 a.m., had told him that there wasn't going to be any more contact.
The 8th, 6:10 a.m.
Contact or attempted contact or anything along those lines would then potentially constitute a stalking charge. When the police department asked for Ms. Shriver's phone, and I'm not saying that this is Ms. Shriver because she didn't have possession of her phone. They wanted the call logs. They never got it. And there may have been a reason for that. I don't know. But they never got the call logs for the phone. But maybe there were those that thought if they didn't have the call logs, maybe they wouldn't be able to see certain things. Well, maybe to many chagrin, there's such things as search warrants and other things where one can get these things. And I go back to the 8th, because again, I want to explain why the people did what they did. The 8th at 6:10, 6 a.m., there is supposedly this communication to Mr. Moore that he should no longer have any contact. The problem was that could not have been true. And the reason it couldn't have been true and what the people saw is that after a call on the 7th, approximately 2:15, for over an hour, well, for 83 minutes between Ms. Shiver and Mr. Moore. After that call, when it gets to the 8th, and remember it's 6 a.m. is what the people are told. There was a call at 2:49 p.m. connected for 7 minutes between Mr. Moore and Ms. Shiver. There was then an additional call at 3:29 p.m. that connected for 4 minutes between Mr. Moore and Ms. Shiver. Those are outgoing calls from Mr. Moore to her. At 3:41 p.m. on that day, there is an incoming call from her to him for 11 minutes. There is then at 7:41 p.m. an outgoing call for 27 minutes from Mr. Moore to Ms. Shiver. Here's what the people realize. The very foundation of the stalking charge, which would have been the telling not to contact me
On the 8th.
on the 8th, there is no call on the 8th. But the very foundation, it couldn't have happened. The people realize that.
Which means she lied. I mean, there is a slim chance that it could have been on the 7th when she said that, but she specified a time of day, 6:10 a.m., not just, and this is where it was like, this is where I had originally thought, and I am not a believe all women, but I am not a believe the person in power either. I am a believe the facts. But this looked to me from the very beginning like a woman scorned who wanted her payback and wanted a payday and expected him to settle. And he lost his mind instead, which I don't recommend either, but bygones. But she told the police that she called him at 6:10 a.m. on the 8th. No call record exists. When you, ladies and gentlemen, when you were going to tell for that, depending on what she exactly said to the cops, I'd be filing a fucking charge against her for filing a false police report. Because yes, these other charges are, but the stalking was a felony. And the basis and the foundation of the stalking charge was the fact that she said, on this date, I told him to not contact me anymore. And then he kept showing up. These bitches be out here lying. I'm not saying that we need to discount all victims. Believe the facts. Take it with a grain of salt. Trust but verify. And when they verified, they found out that something wasn't adding up. The problem is they filed the fucking charges before they verified. I don't know about y'all, but that seems like shady police work and shady prosecuting. Remember how I said I thought this lawyer was a shitty lawyer? Like that to me is shitty lawyering. We're going to file charges and then figure out the facts later. What you're going to what? What, huh? What, huh?
When they got that information. Bottom line, by necessity then, the stalking charge would fail. If the stalking charge fails, it being the predicate for the felony also had to fail. And people knew this, and they did the right thing by making sure that that charge did not go forth. Because in good faith, legally, morally, ethically, they could not proceed on that. And they knew it. They didn't try to hide the ball. They didn't try to do any of that. They didn't say, well, we're still going ahead. We're just going to put them through the paper. They didn't do any of that. They did the right thing. The third charge, which was
I mean, I would have to look more at the timeline, but just knowing what I've heard or that's been presented, I slightly disagree with Judge Simpson here. I think he is covering the ass of the prosecutor. Because remember, they didn't drop that charge. They only dropped that charge if he pled no contest to the other charges. So unless something happened that wasn't reported, which is very well that may be the case, I disagree with Judge Simpson here. I think that prosecutor is shady as
Illegal entry
but I hate the state
to the premises
in general. I'm an anarchist.
also had its problems, and I'm not going to go through sort of an extended analysis, but suffice it to say that Mr. Moore had access to those premises. That access was granted by Ms. Shiver. She gave him the code to the door. It wasn't just a key. He had the code to enter the premises. People analyzing it said they weren't going to proceed on that either, because that was inconsistent with what was being told to them. Now, having said that, I hope that people can understand why this case ended up where it did.
With him saying all that, basically saying, but not saying she lied, where is her accountability? Will she have any accountability? Because you're literally saying they went off false information. They got this information from the supposed victim. Where's the accountability on making sure that this shit doesn't happen again? I mean, yes, he screwed up big time with the things that he did as well. However, would he still have a job had this not happened? Would he be more likely to be hired somewhere else if this hadn't happened? Did her not telling the truth predicate the events that may affect him for years and years to come, versus just being a scorned woman who is pissed and wants petty revenge? I don't know.
At that point, and I have to say from the defense side, there may have been those that would have just proceeded with the case, let it become back as a not guilty, and try to be done with it, but that's not what they did. They realized that there were certain wrongs that had occurred. The parties came together, and there certainly between them were decisions on what charges would be appropriate. After reviewing everything, so that people understand, it was reviewed by the prosecutor, got reviewed by the defense, and this court itself reviewed all of the reports. The right thing happened. The charges, the criminal charges that this defendant, Mr. Moore, would have been guilty of, he pled to. No more, no less. In any sentencing, it is important that the court consider a number of different factors. I look at the defendant. I look at the effect that the proceeding and the defendant's conduct had on the victim in the case, in this case, Ms. Shriver. And in that, try to come to a resolution in my mind as to what would be an appropriate sentence. In this state, there are impact statements that are given so that the court can hear the victim and the victim's voice, the one that was wronged by the conduct, so that you could hear it. I truly would have preferred to hear Ms. Shriver's voice much more clearly and much more directly. I regrettably, rightly or wrongly, legitimately or not, her voice for the court to hear has been clouded. But through my probation department and the like, I have a sense of what are concerns for Ms. Shiver. One of those concerns is that she won't be heard, and that the defendant will not be held accountable in any way. And it was interesting to me that there was at least an indication that a communication to the court prior to the victim's impact statement that I was not aware of prior to receiving the communication that had occurred in this courtroom. I was not on the bench at the time. But where an individual who Ms. Shiver and her people believed were part of the court had gone up to Mr. Moore, shook his hand, and gave him a hug. I want to make it real clear so that it's the individual that did that was a member of the sheriff's office here, is not a member of the court, is in no way connected to me or this court, and that I was not even aware that I was not in the room. I actually had to go and see it online. That should never have occurred. Not because it didn't have or would have had an effect on this court. It shouldn't have occurred because of its appearance of occurring. I can assure Ms. Shiver that has no impact on me, and that having been brought to my attention, I will be dealing with those in the sheriff's office regarding that conduct, because it can't happen here.
And Judge Simpson is one of those people that he is so fair, and he is such a nice person. Like, he is the type of person that I feel like I would want to go out and like have a drink with and just talk to and have a conversation, because I'm sure he has a fascinating life story. However, he's also not the person that I would want to piss off, because when you have someone who is so nice and so respectful and you get them mad, that is not the person that I would want to get on the bad side of. I'm just saying. And to, like, I'm sorry, if you are not the victim's family, defendant's family, there should be no physical contact, PDA of any kind, in addition, in the courtroom. Like, what the hell are we doing? What honestly, what are we doing? Like, as a member of the sheriff's office, what the F are you doing? Once again, this is an ethics thing. Appearance is everything. Yes, makeup, but you can have any. No.
So that's one thing. But Shiver also asked for the strictest punishment that this court could give. Incarceration is usually left to those times where an individual, this court would believe, continues to pose a risk to society or others, or an individual that this court believes can't in some way conform themselves to the norms of how we should operate in society. I don't believe, as I look at the entirety of this case, that incarceration would be an appropriate sentence in this case. Now, having said that, should there be, and I think that a probationary sentence is appropriate, but should there be any violation, and I will send my direct warning to you, Mr. Moore, that should there be a violation, all bets are off the table. I don't like sending people to jail, but I will not have a problem. As the prosecutors indicated, this court is very mindful that that day, December 10th, a number of things happened that changed people's lives. In imposing a probationary sentence, I would let Ms. Shiver know that this court is not by any means lessening the impact of those events. Frankly, Mr. Moore, you had no right to do what you did. I know that she was placed in fear. It was a traumatic experience that day for you. It was certainly a traumatic experience for her, but you had no right to spread your pain to her. And as I was going through this sentencing, there were a number of letters, a number of things presented to the court in attempting to try to decide upon the appropriate sentence. There is a certain irony in a lot of this, and it's a big one, in my opinion. The person, quite frankly, Mr. Moore, that is saving you from the full wrath of this court is the one you betrayed. I don't know where your wife, Kelly, finds her strength. When all of the circumstances are happening, and they're happening to her, and she's absorbing them in real time. She not once loses her focus. She not once bats an eye to sort of doubt you. She not once wants something terrible to happen. As I listened to the terror in her voice that day, I don't think there would be anybody in the world that, given all the circumstances, would have blamed her if she just said, I don't care. It's not what she did. She didn't know where you were, but she was going to tell the police, try to do this to find him. And she said something that was remarkable, and that is just tell him I love him and to come home. Incredible. And when you see, and you know, so I'm listening on one of the calls, listening to her, I can hear your babies in the background. She's, what she had to deal with was just an incredible burden. She didn't bat an eye. The letter that she wrote to the court, and there were a number of them, and like I said, I went through all of them. Certainly had the biggest impact on this court and what I should impose.
You think she was manipulative, his wife or the victim? Because there's two she's in this situation.
I figure in certain ways that she was just pointing forward, leaning on her faith, and trying to put her family and find a way forward for her family, which was inclusive of you. I think in life, sometimes people take a lot for granted. You, sir, take her for granted.
Okay, and I really don't want to make this a race thing, but sometimes I feel like people need to hear it from someone who has a similar background than them. You know, like we go through life with certain things. But when you hear it from someone who has been in your shoes or has a similar background to you, whether that be culture, race, gender, anything, it means more. And I don't want to make this a racial thing, but if you're going to get a speech like that, I think it means more from someone who's in a position of power, who you have a common ground with, if you know what I mean. Yes, I think this is his come to Jesus meeting. Judge Simpson is like, I'm not going to say it, but this is our come to Jesus moment. Because he literally said, don't fuck it up. I mean, he said it much more eloquently than me, but that's the reason he's in that position and I'm not. Because he's a better person than me. But, yeah, I don't want to make it a race thing, but sometimes I feel like people benefit from hearing things like, hey, don't cheat on your wife, even though that should be common sense, from people who look like them. Like Mr. Squid would take that advice from, a 20-something woman and be like, yeah. But like when an older man who has been in the same career path says something to him, it means more. It just means more. Not to steal the SEC's thing.
I am amazed by you, Ms. Farmer. I truly am. I don't know where it comes from. I think, in all honesty, given all the hurt and pain, that if we had more people like you in the world, I may be out of a job, but I think this world would be a better place.
And true, Heidel, I just know how people on the internet take things.
Therefore, the sentence of the court as to count 4, that I'm going to place the defendant on an 18-month probationary term, 18 months under the prosecutor's deferred sentence. You are to pay $555 fines and court costs. We will take those court costs out of the bond. You are to pay $540 probation oversight fees. Those will also be taken from the bond. There is to be no use of any alcohol, recreational marijuana, or any illegal substance. You'll be subject to random testing as requested by probation. You're to continue mental health treatment, follow all recommended care, with status reports to probation. You are to have no contact with Paige Shriver directly or indirectly, and not to have any contact through any third parties. You are not to refer to her on the internet. You are not to communicate her using any electronic device. Am I clear on that, sir? You are not to go to any residence or employment of Paige Shriver. There is to be no assaultive, threatening, or intimidating behavior. There's to be no possession of any weapons, firearms, ammunition, or anything fashioned to be a weapon. I'll schedule a review hearing that will be held April 14th actually the date is going to change, is it not, Ms. Bonner?
Yes, Your Honor, it will be October 13th, 2027.
October 13th, 2027, 9 a.m. I will order 180 days in jail credit for the 3 days you served. The balance is suspended. As to count 5, the trespassing, I will also place you an 18 months probationary term, 18 months under the prosecutor deferred sentence. You're to pay $250 fines and costs. That will be taken out of the bond. You are to comply with all terms as set forth and what I have enunciated in count 4. I will order 30 days in jail credit for 3 days. The balance is suspended. To the people, is there anything else from the people?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Anything else from the defense?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you very much. Good luck, everyone. Court stands in recess.
All right.
Well, as much as I love courtrooms being recorded, I just hate that the minute that everybody stood up for the judge to leave, he had cameras in his face. Like, so, on that, 18 months probation, where they said October 13th, 2027. So with October 13th, 2027, we shall see if he breaks his probation. Because, so if he violates the terms, you'll get 27. That's what I think. You would know more about that than me. However, it's just, I'm not surprised he got probation, first time offense. I'm just really shocked at the revelation that, sorry, the little just ran into the bathroom. So I might have to do mama duties in just a second. Sorry for those of y'all who hate my mama mode engaged song, but I love y'all. But like I said at the beginning of the stream, like I've said, my entire YouTube career, she comes before y'all. Just saying. And if any of you have a problem with that, especially those of you who are mothers, the mom shaming. We need to have a stream just on mom shaming, because the amount of moms in the comments that are like, you took too many breaks, you did this. What the fuck are you talking about? The one criticism that I can understand is cursing in front of my daughter. I get it, but I'm a sailor, so you'll never fix that. But I will have to go do mama mode engaged. But 18 months, I'm going to call it a day so that I can take care of her and go to work in an hour. However, y'all, we shall see if he breaks his probation. I don't think he will, but I'm pretty sure if he fucks up, he's getting a divorce. And that will be the next case we cover, is his divorce proceedings. I will also be keeping an eye on whether he has a job anymore, because it's a thing. Football coaches are in need, and he's a good one. So I will see you guys on the next one. I am going to get out of here. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Sorry about my attitude at the beginning, but like, y'all are just having a day. And I got to go do mama mode. I love y'all, and I will see you on the next one. Tomorrow, we are talking cruise ship unalivers. Y'all have a great day. Bye.